Welcome back to the Be Wealthy podcast with Brett Tanner, where we deep dive into the strategies, mindsets, and real world tactics that unlock financial abundance in your life. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Michael Bernoff, best-selling author of Average Sucks. He is the master of influence and a results coach that has helped everyone from athletes, entrepreneurs, executives to get more out of their lives. Today, we jump into a lot of different topics. We talk about things we could do better with our kids, how you can get more influence, and just how you can develop more skills to live the life that you want. I don't want to wait any longer. Let's jump into my conversation with the one and only Michael Bernoff. Michael Bernoff, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Brett, I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm excited to connect with you and share.
Well, you are someone, anytime I'm in a room with you, my notepad's full. Not only do I learn, I laugh, but I leave changed. And I think that's what you do is different than other people in that you actually get people to create change in their lives. And so thanks, first of all, for all the work that you do for so many.
Thank you.
So I want to go back to the Michael, though. Where did it all come from, right? I want to go back to New Jersey.
Okay.
And I want to talk about what was money like, right? Our show talks about, the people that are crazy successful like you on the top of the mountain today. We want to go back to kind of those thoughts, and we have this idea that how we grew up with money, how it was talked about, maybe in our household, our experiences, kind of frames our beliefs. So, Michael in New Jersey, what was it like?
Well, I think money was respected when I was a kid. I'd say that's an interesting word. I'd say respect. You got me back to Jersey. The grin went on my face. I'm like, I've been there since I was 17 years old, so I'm almost 50 in a couple of years. I was respected when I was a kid. It wasn't exactly talked about, but it was a lot of fear around it when I was a kid. It wasn't fear that it was going to go away, but it was fear. My parents, you got to be safe with it. You've got to, don't overspend. I would look at wealthy people. I grew up in this very middle-class area of like northern New Jersey. You ever seen The Sopranos? That area? Oh, yeah. Like those are the wealthier people down the street. And I lived a couple towns down, and we were middle class. And what was interesting about it is I remember like my closest memory I have as a kid is I would see nice things. I would call that wealth. I would see nicer things or people that would go stay in a better room when we went on trips. And I'd ask my parents, like, how do they do that? And they'd always say, those are business owners. They work hard and they're good people. They work hard and they do business, but they never elaborated anymore. They never explained anymore. And then they got up, went back to work and did what they did. That was literally all of advice I got as a kid.
It was, they do business.
They do business. And it was always like, they have connections, they do business. Like that guy in the PTO. I don't know if you remember this when you were a kid, if you played sports or your kids do, there's that, well, maybe it's us now, but it's the people with the connections. You need that? No problem. We're doing a car wash. No problem. I'll bring in some hoses. That was not my family. My family was, we'd show up, we would do the right thing. So it was never explained to me, but I wanted it. I liked it. I just had no idea how to do it.
All right. So Michael, you've got this experience, you're hearing of people that do business. Then how do you go from that environment where you've got great parents, but money's not, you're not sitting behind the chalkboard learning about money and business. So how do we go from there? What's the next part of that journey that leads you to be who you are today?
I got an interesting story. So I'm an ADD kid. I'm a 90s high school kid, Gen Xer, and didn't like paying attention in school. So I had ADD, or at least I said I did back then because I didn't know what the hell to do with it. So my parents, this is a great story. They hired a guidance counselor to figure out what school to go to. So I paid like $3,000 because they're like, we're going to find how you can learn better, even though the teachers suck. Like,
and how old are you? How old are you at this time?
I'm 15 and they're putting me on meds and doing all the things. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm 17 at this time, and they're looking for like a school to send me to where it's going to be easier or different. So they hire this teacher, they find this guidance counselor. They're like, here's the perfect place to go because my parents are smart with money, but they didn't know how to accumulate. My parents did very well. Like they saved, they've got a lot of money. Like they did a lot of things correctly, right? But they had jobs and they did very good. So long story short, They hire this guidance counselor and they realize New Jersey's got no in-state tuition. We're going to send them to Arizona. So they didn't realize they screwed up. After a couple of years, I realized that instead of sending me U of A, which they were supposed to, they sent me to ASU, like the biggest party school in the world. And with all this crazy attention issues, I not fail out, but like I get invited to not come back because I didn't do well. But when I went to junior college, Mesa Community College, check this out. There were professors that owned actual business. One of them was a realtor. One owned 3 spaghetti type company restaurants. And I finally got around business owners. ASU would never let me in the business school, but Mesa Community College did. And I started studying, like there was this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that we could read. And that book got me to realize if you want to be wealthy, you've got to learn people. And I got into direct sales and I found my first, somebody talked about dream boards and they talked about life and you could be rich. And I had a guy, this hustling guy, taught me like you could make money. And he like sat me down. He goes, who cares how you were raised? You can change that. So it was a guy named Maurice, literally got me in a direct sales company and taught me it was okay to be wealthy and get the things that I wanted. He taught me, I never do any of this stuff. And it wasn't my parents, it was somebody else because I didn't do great in school. I wanted these things and I got into sales no different than somebody getting into real estate.
How did you find that direct sales company? Then I want you to tell me, because I actually believe that direct sales or network marketing training, right? I'm not saying all
great.
The training it's the greatest sales training that exists. I've been to many of the different trainings. I'm like, guys, I don't know that I want to sell whatever they're doing, but I want to sit in all the rooms because the training, it's world best. It's the best. So what was the product? And then give some of the lessons that you learned from that guy that goes and tells you, Michael, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where you're from, you could be anything. And you kind of have that light bulb moment like, wait, I could really do anything.
Well, we're going to backtrack a couple years back. So I jumped ahead. So Maurice is the guy that really helped me. But sometimes it's somebody puts a thought in your head and then years later it took to percolate. So I'm 17 years old, my first year of school. I'm from New Jersey. ASU, I didn't realize, is where they send wealthy kids. That wealthy, like my college roommate's dad owns Super 8 hotels. Yeah. Cavaricci pants when I was a kid, their kid went to my school. I don't know if you remember Cavaricci's, those pants.
Oh, yeah.
I went to school with that guy, the kid's kid. I'm there with the guy's families, heir to Rolex and shit. So why I'm saying this, and it's so interesting, is there's a guy named Ryan, I believe his name is Ryan. He was Jake Plummer when it went to ASU. There was Tillman and Plummer and all these guys. He came by my fraternity house at the time and he goes, who's the guy with the best personality here, or whatever it is. And he came and found me and he goes, look, man, we've got these phone cards. And I said, phone cards? He goes, hey, listen, if you do this for $100, you can buy in and sell it to your friends for $100 and you make 50 and you get discount phone cards or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world. Like I did it. I made $500. That's about all that happened. And then I kind of got out of the deal. This is what's crazy. 3 years later, I get into this other direct sales company, Maurice, and I called that guy, Ryan. And he called me up. He goes, Michael, I want to tell you I'm not interested in direct sales anymore. I've got a company out of Maryland that we're working on. I think you should pay attention to it. It's going to go public soon. It's something I started with another couple of football players. I said, I'm in my thing. I'm not going to pay attention. That company was called Under Armour today. And so Ryan, the guy that got me into direct sales, was one of the founders of Under Armour. And his last name is Wood. And you can go look it up. Everybody sold his house years ago for $10 million in 2012. Do you know what I'm saying? So why I'm saying this is I was right freaking there. The guy said to me, you should check this thing out, but I was blinded. So one of the lessons I learned is you've got to think bigger than you currently think. And number 2 is wealth is a mindset. And that is the first thing I learned. I went to one meeting with that company and they said, wealth is a mindset. It is not a set of hard work. It is a mindset to start with that you apply work to. That was a huge breakthrough. So that was one of the first ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so well said, right? It actually, how you think about it, you could have all the skills and tactical things, but if you have a negative attitude, you have a limiting beliefs, which we're going to get to, which is, your book that everyone needs to go read. We'll get to that here in a minute. It is a mindset. So you had that,
yes.
You really got that experience and how long did it take from when you got the chance to work there before you saw them go public and just all the, the fire.
I didn't know that. So I didn't work with that company. I missed that whole thing.
Right. But you missed it. But I mean, like, how long before you saw him go?
3 years later.
Okay.
2 to 3 years later, I'm sitting there. When it winds up, like it was Champs back. What was that? Sports Authority. When the close finally makes it a Sports Authority, you missed it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I saw it there. I was about 22, 23 years old. But then I'm like, oh, okay, I missed that one. I'll just keep on going, doing what I was doing. And then I realized, I guess I just wasn't ready yet for that one. And when you can be there, you can see it. But if you don't allow yourself to get out that butterfly net and be ready with it, you can have the butterfly net in the car, like to catch the butterfly. But if you don't have that thing ready, you missed it. So I was still at the beginning of my personal development journey of like who I was becoming and what it is I was doing. So the biggest lesson that I got out of direct sales was I met Jim Rohn when I was 21. And that right there was me as like a little boy right there with Jim up there. I don't know if you remember Jim Rohn.
Oh,
it was Jim and I. That's my mentor.
Oh, so he was my mentor. I never met him through all the books, and I was getting ready to go, and unfortunately I didn't make it before he passed away. But like my favorite, I got to tell, I want to ask you your favorite Jim Rohn tape, or we're gonna say tape because that's what they were back then.
I have them still here.
Okay, my favorite one, which I've listened to, I could do the impressions. The Art of Exceptional Living is the greatest audio tape of our time. It's a 3-hour drive to my cabin. The audio of The Art of Exceptional Living is 6 hours.
Yep.
I've listened because there and back.
I have it here somewhere. I am challenged to succeed here, but I have Art of Exceptional Living somewhere else.
I used to buy it for my team members. And I said, before you start our company, you have to listen to The Art of Exceptional Living. It's that impactful.
It's amazing. So I remember being in Indianapolis. I was at this verge between, I was at figuring it out. Like where you're getting by. It's like when agents like, I'm doing a house every couple months. And eventually you start doing 2 a month. And you're like, holy crap, I can make money with this, right? Well, I'm not in real estate at the time, but I'm at the point where like at $5,000 a month, I'm going to get to 10. And I remember being in an elevator in Indianapolis, exactly where I was at this little Omni hotel. And I remember the words from Jim. He said, success is something you attract by the person you become. And I literally have heard The Art of Exceptional Living 1,000 times. I mean, I got a buddy named Mark McKee, who is a big real estate guy. I don't know if you know Mark, but he's out of Vegas, big investor. And he'll just text me. He's in his 60s. He'll just text me like a phrase, and I'll say a picture's worth, and he'll say 1,000 words. And we'll go back and forth. I was 25 years old, and he'll go, pennies in my pocket. He is wealthy, this guy, with planes and everything else, like just wealthy. He still listens to this every single week like I do.
It is, he said, could we go out there in a crowd and find somebody who makes $4,000? We need the sea, the sunshine, the soil, and the rain.
Yes.
I mean, here's that whole, surely we could find someone.
Of course, a chicken feed. Of course. Would you pay a man $4 million a year? Of course, if you bring value to the company. And it's funny because a lot of people, they get on podcasts. One of the things I do to test a guy on my team right now is I'll give them a tape player, old school. I have an old tape. It costs $100 for a tape player now. I will give them the tape player with the tapes and go, I want you to start where I started. And if in a week they had not digested all of that and came back to me and listened to it, we're not going to work. And I don't care. And the reason I make them do it on the tape player is I want them to go through what I went through. So all the podcasts of like people digesting it, I would say the best people in the world, most of the shows I've been on, everybody has some lineage to some Jim.
Oh, he was, I think he's the true godfather of self-development, in my opinion. I mean, it's the best. So you go to direct sales though. Any other lessons you listen? So you're there, you meet Maurice, you're young, impressionable.
Yep.
What are those lessons? That just from...
He told me no one else is going to pay your bills. You've got to figure this out. This is your problem. He taught me about personal responsibility and ownership. That was a big thing, which is huge. Remember, I'm like at young military man age. What I mean by that is I'm not in the military, but I'm at that young age where I'm impressionable, where you don't try to get somebody in the military at 85 years old. And at 18, I'm in that young man, woman like age. I'm there. And one of the things is he's like, you're going to have to learn people, because the people have the economics. And if you can offer value to them, they'll exchange their economics with you. So like where money comes from is people. You don't get money from money. You get money from people. And we've got to get good with people. They want to give you the money. They want to hand it to you. He explained this to me. And this is a guy with a 14-year-old high school education as far as he got. I still see him at Ocean Club every once in a while, this guy. And out and about. He's a great guy and literally taught me a lot. And some of the other lessons, he's like, you got to educate yourself. He taught me sales. He taught me that. And then when it became to wealth, he taught me a lot with the sales, the direct sales, was a lot about leverage. A lot about leverage is one big thing I learned in direct sales. I didn't understand it right away, but he's like, you're not going to do this all yourself. And my parents were always like, figure it out yourself. And he said, Michael, you've got to get good. And I didn't learn this until maybe 10 years ago. You've got to get good at letting people do things for you because they want to. And a lot of people will do the work for their assistant, for their team, and you're never going to be wealthy if you're doing it all yourself. You've got to find a way to let people do things for you. That took 30 years almost to click in, that lesson, or 20 years. That was a huge lesson. Allow people to do things for you if you compensate them and if it's worth it for them, because a lot of people stop people, great people, for doing things for them and they never get wealthy.
That's, God, I can't imagine getting to, experience that level of training and knowledge and those lessons, at 18, 19 years old. I see so many people that go like, man, you got an MBA in business through a direct sales organization while you're actually making money.
Yes. And I hustled, I made money. And I'd say some of the biggest lessons were all of those cold calls I made for a year and a half with the holes in my shoes and figuring out with the title company coming to like repo my car, like all the stuff I had to go through, because this was a big lesson that I got, Brett. I was middle class, right? So I didn't struggle a lot as a kid. And I had enough to get by. Things were okay. That's why I wrote my book, Average Sucks, because I was average. I was right in that middle. So I didn't struggle a lot. So when I went into business, I didn't have a struggle. I don't say you need a struggle, but I'd never been through anything that difficult. So for whatever reason, we all attract our hard, our difficult, our Goliath, right? My Goliath was entrepreneurship, and I allowed 2 years of hard, difficult pain, but man, it made me tough and hard and strong, and I like, it made me determined. So I will tell you, there's a period between a day, week, month, a year, or 2 years, who knows how long God's going to give it to you. But there was about a 2-year period I had where I wouldn't exchange it for anything in the world, but some people may get it as a loss of somebody. Somebody might get it from, who knows where they're going to get it from, but I got it from that. So the biggest lesson is I grew up middle class. I mean, like right down the middle class. And what was interesting was that the natural tendency that I had was I would look at these wealthy people, what they did, and I had no idea how to achieve it. And I would say the biggest thing that I learned from direct sales was you can get these things if you're willing to go through whatever your difficulty, your hard, or your Goliath is. I don't think you have to stay there forever. So for me, my difficult was that my life was, I don't want to say easy, but I didn't have like this major atrocity. Middle class, grew up right down the middle. Everything was good enough. It's one of the biggest reasons I wrote my book, is because I was safe and I was comfortable. I couldn't figure out how many people they lived this way. So when I got into sales, I started doing cold calling. I bought those leads that nobody should have in the middle, that 90 other people had, and I'd call and I would do. So for
the Glenn Gary leads.
No, I didn't have the Glenn Garrett. I had like the Joe Blow leads. Like I had like 35 other people were calling them. They had no interest, but it made me strong. It made me like a hard, like I had the thick skin, and I would listen to like 2 to 3 hours of personal development every freaking day just to get through the calls. And I'd have Clifford the Big Red Dog on in the background. Like I didn't have it on, but like I look back and I had like cartoons on because I need something to smile at while I'm making these calls. And I had to learn how to survive. And I think once we get past survival as an entrepreneur, then we can thrive and we can be wealthy. I think we need to experience sometimes the alternative, because I found out about myself, I'm not motivated by getting things. I'm motivated by worst case scenario. My brain is literally, I can fight it. I can pretend it's, oh, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy. That's not what motivates me. What motivates me is I know I have a cortisol brain. I'm the guy, no different than a lot of agents. It's 26th a month, then they turn it on. I have to learn how to turn that on the first. Okay. But for years, I would be a survivor and a hero over myself. And once I learned that game I was playing myself, that's one of the biggest lessons, Brett, that I got indirectly, was learning how to manipulate myself to be a performer. And once I learned how to perform, that's when I started learning how to make money. So that's why I want to break people free of that as quick as possible, because some people live there for 50 years.
You just talked about something that I think is so interesting. And, people are motivated by pleasure or pain.
Yep.
And you said you were motivated by pain, right?
Cortisol, yeah, by being my own hero and saving the day, because I didn't feel great about myself. So I got to create pain, become the hero of my own story. So I'd create my own problems in order to solve them. It was not smart.
So it's fun. My wife and I were talking just recently. I think it was yesterday, and we're talking about this painful moment. I was like, do you remember that moment where we went to Under Armour, which you're going to, I'm bringing your Under Armour story. We're like 18, 19 years old, and we went to Under Armour, and we wanted to get a couple things of Under Armour for each of us. At that point in time, each of us getting 2 or 3 items, right? Sweatpants from Under Armour, whatever it was. We really couldn't do it. I mean, we could, but that was like all the money we had. And I remember leaving there. That's literally the story we just talked about. I said, babe, the amount of pain for me not being able to get some damn sweatpants, I realized that I never want to do that again. And so, fast forward a couple of years, I never forget the day I went to Under Armour and blew $1,000 just because it was like, I didn't need $1,000, but it was and we walked out there, I was like, no pain. It was an irrelevant amount. I mean, the $1,000 didn't move the needle. We'd have never missed it. But I remembered that moment because for me, the pain of not being able to do just little things, having to say, well, we can't do that. Or it wasn't that, like you said, I wasn't motivated by going and getting the Mercedes. I was motivated by not being able to do something this weekend with my friends. Or so I think that's such an important lesson that people need to realize. How are you motivated? And I love the word you use, manipulate. I think manipulate I use it in a positive word.
Manipulate ourselves. We're being manipulated all the time by everything else. We might as well manipulate ourselves
to get the outcomes we want in our lives, right? It's a tool.
It's funny. We all have this. It's so funny because if everybody listening to this, I have interviewed thousands of successful people in my life. I've been around some incredible human beings that have done great things, Brett, like you and so many people that you and I both know. We have very similar stories, like 6 things all of us have done. And there's 9 million things that don't work and 6 things we've been through. Everybody's got that moment. Like mine was at the Apple store. And I've always said, like, wealth to me was like, I can go to Whole Foods and not worry about the price. Like that was my big thing for me. Like I wanted to go to Whole Foods, spend $1,000. Like that was a big thing. So it's interesting is I'm not going to get into that story because it's similar. Like I wanted to go buy the stuff for myself and do the thing. But every one of us finally gets that breakthrough moment where we realize, what is that first step that we need to make where we've proven a concept? We've got an experience, we've got proof of concept that it's working. So a lot of us need to, like I used to tell when I trained years ago, our friend Kent Clothier, I trained his Memphis Invest back in the day when he and his dad had working on the company 15 years ago. I did some training for them. And I said, all of you need to go down to local Whole Foods, go buy a $15 coconut water, go buy a $20 loaf of bread, go feel what it feels like to go do that. Not like as a dream build, because eventually you're going to have to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? So go feel you don't have to go buy a Ferrari right away, but just go buy something uncomfortable. And then eventually you want to get to where that point becomes comfortable. So we need to build that. That was part of the manipulation process I would do is I'd have 1 or 2 things that I would spend that were expensive. And I wanted to start feeling that now. And that's one of the other things my mentor taught me. Go buy something you can afford now that's small so you can feel what it feels like to see if you even want to do that down the road. See if you even like that stuff. And I love that stuff.
That is, that's so good. So you got these lessons now from direct sales. You've learned these tools and skills.
Yep.
Where do we go next? Where does it go from there?
So I had a moment. A lot of people have this moment. I had a calling and I was in direct sales. I had a guy where I was really trying to figure it out. I was doing my presentations and I would go pitch my products and I'd moved on to another company selling these like health products. It was like insurance. It was like supplemental insurance. This is Liberty product we were marketing. And I did a great presentation. I thought I was awesome. And I was in Anaheim, California. I thought I was so great. Oh my God, it was great. And nobody bought anything that day. And I had enough money to like get home. I went there to go sell something. And this guy, Tom, comes up to me in the back of the room and he's like, you know who you remind me of? I'm like, you say it, I'll kill you. Because I'm a big guy. I've always got the Tony Robbins thing since I was a kid. And he goes,
and for those that don't know, you are what are you, 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah, a little 6'7", yeah.
So yeah, you're very tall. Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to get the Tony thing. It's funny. We have the same. I've worked with Roger Love, with the voice coach, and we both worked with Jim. And I didn't even know who Tony was. Like, I'd never met him, never done anything at that point. So he's like, I used to work with Tony back in the day. Have you ever heard of? He talked about neuro-linguistic programming. I'm like, well, and I'm so broke and so like this trying to make money. I'm ignoring a guy. He's like, I worked with Tony in the 80s. I was there when the guys invented neuro-linguistic programming. I can help you. And he's like trying to shake me this. And I'm thinking, oh, what do you know, Mr. Pet Safety guy? What do you know? And long story short, that guy sends me a email like 2 weeks later. He goes, hey, there's a free event in town. You should go check this thing out. And it was a speaker. I'd never heard of in my life. And I'm there, and I finally go to this event. Like they say, God shows up in your life in interesting ways. 3 people mentioned the same person that nobody ever heard of in their life. Like, I've never heard of this guy. I'm not going to get into who it was because that's irrelevant. And I go to this event on Van Buren. Okay, Brett, Van Buren and
not the best part of town, not the.
But there's 100 entrepreneurs there from different companies. And this guy's amazing. And he pitched, I had just lightly been into personal development. Like, I read books back then. This is the first time I got into tape. So this is pre-gym, right around that phase. And he said, right around him getting out of direct sales. And he said, listen, guys, I don't care what you learn here today. And he said, I want you to make a decision while you're here. So I made 2 big decisions that day. I pointed at him because I watched the guy make $100,000 in a matter of 3 hours. I was so impressed. And I go, that's what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to be a speaker. Yeah. And I didn't mean it. I just said it. And then number 2, I said, I convinced the lady, my friend's mom, Lisa, to put the $800 worth of tapes and CDs on her credit card for me. And some of them were Jim Rohn before I met Jim. And that day, I went home like a drug addict and I listened to these things for hours. Like, at first I had a little bit of my life. That's when things changed. And I didn't mean it. And a couple of months later, I walked by, I was canceling a membership at a gym membership. Remember, I'd done sales. I'd gotten by. I was getting by. I went to Pure Fitness on, or Mountainside Fitness on, I believe it was on Baseline Road. And I wanted to cancel my membership. And the guy asked what I did. And out of my mouth, I have no idea, Brett, why I said it. I go, I'm a speaker. He goes, what do you focus on? He goes, I teach sales. I had never done this in my life outside of my team. He goes, if I cancel your membership, will you come back and train our people? I said, no problem. And I went to the car. I go, how the heck am I going to do this? A week later, I came back. My rent was due and everything. And the guy loved me. I spoke for free for an hour. He goes, I go, if you like it, you can hire me. And he gave me $3,000 to train them for the next month. And that was where my career began. I had the courage to say out loud, I'm a speaker. I'll train your people. I knew how to sell. I'd been selling. I was surviving on it. But I trained his people to be better, and then I started doing all the gyms in town.
That isn't it interesting that just by putting that out there and saying those words,
yep,
I'm a speaker, and then you go to cancel your gym, and he goes, what do you do? And you go, well, I'm a speaker. We can all manifest things in our life. Like, I don't know how many, like right now I'm in the middle of a deal. I'll give you a crazy example. I'm, at 1031 exchange, there's a rule to it. Sell a property, one of the rules, I could identify 3 properties. Well, I only had one I wanted to buy, but I had this other one that I wanted to buy. I'm not under contract. We're 10 to 20% off on price, but I can name this extra property. So my team's filling out the form. This is recently, and I go, just name that other property. They're like, why would you do it? You're nowhere. I go, well, it doesn't hurt. It's kind of like you said, I'm a speaker. Literally yesterday,
yep.
The guy comes back and he goes, hey, because I was offering them a number that they weren't willing to accept. He goes, I want to take your last offer. So I've already identified it on these things. And my team's like, how did you do it? I go, guys, you got to put the things out there that you want. It didn't cost me anything to do it, but putting out, I'm a speaker, and that goes and sends you on this journey of helping all these people. And you've helped, tens of thousands of people, millions of people. It's so cool to see that that's where it started, by going to an event saying, I'm a speaker.
One phrase. And if you go back, I don't care where you study spirituality or faith or God, words are important. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm pretty sure most religions, the word is everything, and the word is our connection. And our words are so powerful that we have to respect them. And if you put words out there and they feel right and they come from not the heart, but they come from who you are, because the heart can be confusing sometimes. A lot of people say run your life by your heart. If we ran by our heart, there's some things I shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? But if we run by who we are as a human, our soul of who we are, I literally felt like that's what I needed to say in that moment. Actually, I didn't feel anything. It literally came out. And I let the words flow. And from that point, countless human beings' lives have transformed, from me helping people make money to getting thousands of people off of drugs to helping people with suicide to helping the kid. I had clients that after the second shooting in Columbine, I've helped them with reframing their thoughts in their head. Like that never would have occurred if I did not say that one day, that is what I do. And I think a lot of people like things, but they don't have faith. They talk about faith, but real faith is believing in where we're going and the possibility of it. And I think wealth is deserved by all people who believe in where they are going and trusting in that they belong to have it.
You know, it's funny you brought that up. A good friend of mine has this saying, his name's Kyle, and he said, you can have fear, you just can't have any doubt. You can be a little afraid. I just know that I'm going to reach the destination. I might be a moment I'm afraid, like, ooh, I don't, I'm a little, but he goes, you can have a little bit of fear. You just can have zero doubt. I'm like, it's a good way to look at it.
I like that guy. That's gonna be a friend of mine. I like Kyle.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. So yeah, and then in our ADD version of the story, it's a lot of these moments that we've got to collect. And a lot of people I've learned will repeat the same moment over and over again. They do the same thing and they don't realize you need to create a new one. And life transforms the moment we transform our language and we literally decide, you know what, I'm going to be wealthy. That's what I love about your show here. It's like, it's not think about wealthy. It's not want to be wealthy. It's be. Like, be is what you think, what you say, what you do. You've decided, you've talked to your wife, you've talked to your husband, you told your kids, you've owned it. It's not like, well, it's not kind of wealthy. It's be. It's own it.
100%. Well, I want to go to your book does so much to help people break through beliefs. And it's about the limiting beliefs, redefining your personal standards. Let's do a scenario, Michael, that there's somebody out there who they're performing average, right? They want more, they aspire to more, but let's do a scenario that they grew up and they had a tougher childhood. Their job isn't ideal. They're making it, but it's survival-ish, right? Like I'm making it, but I've got this 3 to 5 or however many limiting beliefs I've got. And how do you, and how would you have them start thinking about busting through? I mean, your book, everyone should go read the book. It's Average Sucks. Go grab the book. I mean, it's incredible. It's right there. What do you say to people though? Like, what's that spark for them?
So this is where, like, I am not your traditional coach or therapist or anything. I'm a Jersey guy. I'm always saying, like, I'm personal development with Tony Soprano. I am literally straight at it. We're going to kill off those beliefs. So the first part I would really say to everybody is, you're fine. You're okay. Like, I would be really clear. Like, if you want to reproduce the results you got, you are so good at it. If you want to be stressed 3 months, on 1 month, close some deals 1 month, get by, be the hero. Like, we've got to recognize we are totally fine doing what we're doing. We've got to accept that. Where life transforms, that's the hardest. But most coaches like lie to people and they say, oh man, you could be more. Actually, you don't have to be. You can stay where you're at because you are a master of it. And you don't have to do any more. And I guarantee in the next 2 or 3 years, you'll be about where you're at, give or take 5 or 10%. Every one of us, just don't do anything. If you're willing to admit, this is where life transforms, that you're not where you want to be. That is where life transforms starts to take place. And that is, number one, I'm fine. So I believe we got to give ourselves grace and credit right off the bat and just go like, I'm fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. If I want to be a guy that makes $38,000 a year, struggle to get by, can lie to my family about vacation, rack up a bunch of credit card debt, I've mastered the game. So if you want things to be different, you've got to decide you're not where you want to be. And then you've got to be willing to admit this, you actually don't know how to do it. And that's the part most people are like, whoa, but I do know what I'm doing and I know what I need to do. Stop it. Stop it. You don't. You actually don't. You've got concepts, you've got ideas, you've got thoughts. It's not all put together. So this is contrary to most advice. Oh, I know how to go to the NBA if I wanted to. No, you don't. You actually don't. You've got a bunch of random ideas that if somebody organized and put them together, probably they're all there. But the way you're focused, because if you did know, you'd actually be doing it. So I believe the hardest part for a lot of us is we actually don't know what we're doing. And we have to be willing to let somebody help us get where we want to go, whether it's a coach or a mentor, a wealthy person. It could be as simple as you want to be in the restaurant business. I'm just going to figure out what Sam Fox did. That guy did really well. Sam Fox, let's just look at him. What did he do locally here in all of his restaurants internationally and everything he's doing now? So that is a big phase that a lot of people, that's not even in my book directly, but that's something I'm realizing recently is you've got to admit your life works perfectly for what it currently does. If you want it to work differently, you've got to do different things. And then you're like, practically, Michael, where do we begin? Well, we identify it's how we control our identity of what we do. And I identify it as a struggling hero that basically would struggle, solve my problems at the end of the month so I can go, yay, go drink back where I used to drink and go, oh my God, I did great, and throw a high five to my friends just to struggle again so I could feel the victory of struggle succeed. We're going to have to change some things. I mean, we're going to have to realize, like, not that there's sacrifices. You're going to have to realize you've built an entire life of doing what you do, whether it happened to you, for you, through you, whatever. We're going to have to do some things differently, and you're going to have to be willing to adjust a few things. And the coolest part is within a minute to a week to a year, you'll radically transform your life if you start at those phases. So I don't know if that's practical enough, but that is literally the emotional shift that will have to happen at least for the first second.
I love that you started with those two things. I think identity is important. I think you've got to, who am I today, and get real clear and be, one of the things I talk about is just the number one skill in life is being able to do an accurate self-assessment.
Yep.
Not the assessment of the way that I want the world to see me or the story I might tell myself, but just accurately raw, because everything I know, everything I believe, everything I've ever done is leading to the results I'm getting right now.
Yes.
And if I want different results in the future, I'm going to have a change in my identity, or I'm going to have to change my skills, or I'm going to have to change my relationships, or I'm going to have to find a mentor or coach or whatever. But if I don't change anything, nothing's going to change.
Nothing. And there's 4 real things that control everything we do. Because this is like, let's just really have a real conversation. Like, do you remember when you decided to become an entrepreneur?
I do. I could tell you that I was at Insight, the Fortune 500 company.
In Awatuki, or?
Yeah, the one on the I-10 and Elliott. Oh, yeah. So I go in there. I didn't graduate college. I walked, but I was supposed to go back to, you can actually graduate 6 credits short of a degree. And I hated school. I didn't like the 3.5 year. I just want to be done because my parents were like, you need to get a degree. Like, I don't think I'm not smart, so I just don't know it's a good idea. Went to ASU. I took the community college credits, went to ASU. I just want to get done as soon as possible. So I show up at Insight day one, and they're basically, the training is like this is a phone, this is a computer, find people's phone numbers on the computer, pick up the phone, call them, right, sell them computer stuff. I'm like, okay. And you just, you're cold calling. And so you would get really good at how do you get to the decision maker, and you'd call the wrong number. And, it was just, but I remember sitting there going, I can't do, and so I'll tell you the experience I had. I'm sitting there and I started performing, and I'm beating everyone. Like, I'm the best sales rep in my little area. And the manager didn't really notice it. Like, it was like, whatever. So then I was like, all right, for the next 90 days, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to be the worst sales rep. Same outcome. And I was like, I can't be in an environment where we don't recognize a top performer from a bottom performer. And that was that day. I went home, my girlfriend at the time, my wife today of 20 years. And I said, babe, I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm going to work for myself because these people can't understand the difference between great and terrible. And I can't be, and if I'll dig ditches, but at least I'll know that I'm doing a great job. So that was the moment. I'm like, 6 months in, I worked for, and that's it. I've been an entrepreneur ever since. I was like, I may starve, but I'll at least starve doing my own thing.
It's interesting you said that, because we all have that story. So I've never met anyone that decided to be an entrepreneur going, oh my God, I just got $1 million raise at work, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And every one of us decided whether it was to lose weight or to make more money. We didn't like where we were at. So what happens is most people are running a 20 to 30, 40-year-old program. We don't realize it. So what happened is the reason we do what we did is because I didn't like where I was at. We built like this this like wall behind us. Like, I'm never going back. It's the feeling you get when your head's over a toilet bowl after eating oysters. I'm never going back, right? Or drink too much or whatever it is. And in that moment, you didn't know what you wanted, but you just like, I didn't want this. And that's when you started to develop your new identity. So you first identified as, oh, my parents, I got to go to school, I'll get a job, I'll figure it out and work for the Crowns for a little while. That's who I wanted to write, the Crowns, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this thing, right? And we lived in this middle, and that's when you start forming your identity. I want more and I don't want this. And that's what most people do. And then we start attracting people, Brett, like you say to your wife, hey, we're going to find a way to survive together. You tell your friends you quit. I'm going to figure this out. And we start building a life based on one decision we made one day where we were pissed off or mad and we decided to change. And a lot of us haven't re-updated. So when you talk about wealth, I will find people that stuck at $1 million a year, stuck at 100 grand a year, stuck at 50 grand a year, because they're running that same program that you did in probably your 20s, right? When you were there. Yep. And you're now not anymore. And you're like, no, you get it. I'm going to get there one day. You're actually driven by trying to prove a point to two bosses that you don't even know anymore. And you're trying to produce, not you, but like 100 grand a year because you say six figures, which now is a level of broke, right? And you're trying to approve that. And you're convincing the people in your life. So all of us have this identity, people, and we're playing the show. And most people have looked in the mirror recently. If you want to be wealthy and haven't looked in the mirror and go, wait a second, I'm 50, I'm 42, I'm 39. I got 2 kids. I'm a mom. I've raised 3 kids. I've been through a divorce. I've been through some crap. I'm look at what I've done. And most people do not let their current version of themselves dictate. They're still letting a 9-year-old boy or a 15-year-old child make their financial decisions. And I would tell you, I did that, Brad, for years. I wanted to prove to people I could make money. So I'd make it, lose it, so I could be a hero. And I never really got ahead until I realized I was playing a game.
It's so good. I mean, it's we all have it, right? Every person, like you said, every successful person's been there and they found a way to change their identity, to step into that new person they wanted to become. So
the way we step into that, let me finish. If I cut you off for half a second, forgive me, cut that kid off. You asked me a question, let me solidify. I'm going to challenge everybody today. As silly as this sounds, I'm going to ask who you are today to make the decisions of what you want. The last time you probably set goals is you were broke or had a problem 5 years ago, or you were trying to figure something out, or you said something random, I'm going to do 20 closings, or I'm going to do this. I want to ask yourself a question. Who are you now? What have you done, good, bad, ugly, in the last 10 or 15 years? And is that person running your life, or is the goal you have 5 or 7 years old? And I will tell you, most people do not become wealthy because their goal is 5 or 10 years old. Based on where you are right now, who's making the decision? So I would go like, what can a 48-year-old man that owns a bunch of investment properties, that own buildings, that's got an incredible network, a beautiful wife, great family, every reason to do well, has got a great team of people. What can that guy do? That guy needs to decide my life, not a 20-year-old boy. So I'm just telling all of you to really start there, to look in the mirror today and go, what have I accumulated? What do I have or don't have? What have I been through? And what could this person do? And it is a whole lot more than you realize.
That is, that's just so good. Everyone needs to go back and listen to that last 60 seconds again and again, because I love the way you describe the program. People are running these old programs in their minds, spitting out the same results and expecting a different outcome. And it's just, that's not going to happen.
And I cut off your question, so back to you.
No. It's, well, I was going, you actually segued perfectly. So, if you look at Michael's money views then, right? The old Michael to today, how different is it? So what are those, how do you think about money today versus then? Today you're focused on long-term abundance and influence, and you've got money and buildings and wealth is so much more than money. I mean, that's, how have those, how has your view of money evolved from then to now?
Yeah, I didn't understand it back then. It's funny because I married the preacher's kid. My wife just believes it's going to happen, which is amazing. So I married, I will tell every one of you, if you are just hear this correctly, have conversations with your significant other about money. This doesn't mean that don't go end things based on this conversation. But if you're not in a relationship, have a conversation about money up front. If you're single and you're dating, talk about that in the first couple of dates. I'm just telling you it's important. We have an alignment when it comes to money. We both believe it's okay to have a lot. Okay. And that's one thing I'm going to tell you. And
that's huge though, but that's not normal. I mean, sometimes people one spouse doesn't want a lot. They say like, oh, I don't need all that. right?
You're going to have to figure that out. And I'm not telling you it's right or wrong, but this is where a little counseling up front will probably help you down the road. But if you're in the middle of it and one doesn't want, maybe to find a way to use my sales techniques to pitch them and realize, okay, or ignore and go get a lot and you'll deal with your life because you'll never be satisfied unless you do. So wealth to me today is really, I don't want to use the silly word freedom, but it's the ability to not have to work for money. And it's the ability to build our financial people years ago. I do real estate and I have financial stuff and I'm in all kinds of assets and different types of things. I look at it as a lady said to me years ago, you got to build a money machine. And a money machine is what I feed. And wealth is a state of mind. And she said to me, Michael, I love that you love your business, but you should stop trying to do it for money. He goes, I want to help you build a money machine where one day that produces more than your business ever could. And that is when you're going to truly feel wealthy. And wealth to me is being able to, I got a daughter that's a competitive figure skater, my little one, right? And she skates 6 hours a day. If you want to be wealthy, you'll have to get your kids into horses or figure skating because it's a fortune. And I being able to travel and go to those things, never missing a game ever for my kids, not having to, I say no to a lot of things because I don't think we have to give everything to everyone, but being able to, I think a big flex for me is that, I'm able to support my child's habits. There's any things that they want. She doesn't have a phone and she's 13 and she doesn't want one. And she wants to go after this passion, her dream, being able to support, my older one's got a vision for what she works with us, runs her social media, but she wants to also run her business, helping support that. So my beliefs today are beyond money. It's really a mindset that you're either going to have the money or it's going to show up or you're going to figure it out. But also it's thinking different. I have a respect and a relationship that's different with money today. And I think a lot of people, when you're in a bunch of debt, and I don't mean there's good debt and bad debt, when you're in the wrong debt, because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and there is bad debt. So I will tell Grant and everybody out there, there's a bad debt and you need to stop giving some advice. There's bad debt, 28% interest on your credit cards, bad debt, buying things you shouldn't buy, Ferraris you don't need, bad debt, stop watching the Kardashians, bad debt. And then there's good debt. Is real estate and everything else. Is where was I going with that? Is basically my view today is that it is our right as human beings. It's something we should do. Is that sin comes from the Old Testament, which means to miss the mark. If you don't find a way to live a wealthy life, having the things you want and doing things you want, you're not going to be fully fulfilled. And I believe when you're fully fulfilled, we're harmful to other people, and which means we're envious, we're jealous, we're everything else. So I'm just going to tell you, learning how to be wealthy, I feel like I'm doing a sermon now, but learning how to be wealthy and learning how to be a wealthy person is the greatest indicator because we need to show the next generations how to do this as well. So we're influencing people all the time. Are we influencing people to live incredibly well or to get by? And I think struggle and pain is one of the problems in society today. And I don't think enough people have accepted this. So I don't know if that answers the question or I'm just preaching, but it means a lot to me.
Oh, that's one of the best answers in terms of hitting all areas of life, of wealth I've heard, right? To me, I love that your version of wealth is I want to be at my kids' games and help them live their passion and live their best life, whatever that is, whether that's ice skating, figure skating, horse, in horseback riding or, all areas of life, right? It's whatever you're helping other people live their best purpose, you live your best purpose. I think that's a beautiful answer. So if someone's out there, Michael, and they want to level up financially, what are some, from the psychology, from all the things you train on, how can we start breaking through some of those barriers to make sure we're always leveling up? I mean, you've got this idea that in your book that we're all capable of more than we imagine.
Yep.
Let's take that in a financial framework.
Yep.
How do we, we start with our identity. How do we start leveling up?
Well, one thing is we need to accept that we're all investors. And I want to be very clear on that. Let's just start right there. Every one of you are an investor. Listen to me very clearly. I'm going to say it again. You are an investor. You're just probably investing in dumb things. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're not investing. So you're investing in Starbucks, you're investing in Krispy Kreme. We're all investors. And we're all influential. So if you're 200 pounds overweight and you're smoking a cigarette, you're teaching people how to start that. So the first thing we need to accept is we are all investors. Every one of us investing our time, our energy, and our money in something every day of the week. So first, just accept that. So now once we've accepted, we identify as an investor. A homeless man is investing in being homeless. I'm just telling you he's investing it. So once you accept you're an investor, you can go, okay, I'm an investor. So then the next question is, what are we investing in? Well, Michael, I don't really have any money to invest. So there's two groups of people, and you can put whatever circle or dollar amount with this. This changed my life years ago. And this is silly. And some of you are going to be like, oh, this is like whatever, Michael. You sound like, I'm not a Dave Ramsey fan, but I'm going to ask you to listen very carefully what I'm about to say. I decided to change my relationship with money 20 years ago. And I did something really simple. I realized how lazy I am, meaning I don't like to do things that are inconvenient. Now, I'm a hard worker, but I'm also lazy. So I went in my bank account and I transferred an auto transfer of $3 a week from one account to another. Now that sounds really, really dumb. Like, what are you going to do with $3? Well, I'm going to put it into a savings account, and I'm just going to be very, very clear about this. Then what I started doing in my life is every time I'd either cancel an NFL package or do something, I would transfer that as well. Then what I started to do is I decided my little investment account, what could I turn this into? And I started looking for this. Well, what other accounts are there online that can produce a little more? And then I started transferring a few things more. And then I started making a little more money. Then I added on a Tuesday night, I'd be out at dinner, I'd move $4 more. And eventually this account had about $27,000. Okay. And then I get this little check in the mail from Discover Card. And they go, we'll give you 20 grand against your card. And I spent the 57,000. I got my first rental property, Brett, with a little bit of money back in the day with those. Now that was back when you can get one for 50 grand down. Do you know what I'm saying? What I'm getting at is I decided to change my perspective. If I'm never going to have money, I put it there. So the other thing is, are you actually practicing winning and losing and investing? I am telling you, we've got to practice winning and losing. You're going to lose some and you've got to do some. So I started building these accounts. Right now, I have 150 little $2, $3, and $80 transactions that go every month. And every month the money moves from one account. I have so many of them, I'm so lazy to turn them off. So what I'm getting at is, if everyone, you want to know how to get started today? Transfer $87, some dumb weird number from one account to another each week. You're like, well, Michael, what's $87 going to do for you? Nothing this week. And in a month, it's going to be $300. And in a year, it's going to be this. I take that money. I am so particular. That money I get back from a credit card. I know I talked to you about this when we first met at an event years ago. I am so good with credit cards. I get an average of 3 to 4% back every month. I don't take the points. I parlay that into investment properties. So what I'm getting at is I am always finding a way to turn money into more money. So remember this, you cannot invest and be wealthy until you turn money into more money. And if you have none, create some. And all of us can create some right now. So that is the silliest little technique that I did. I have a limo guy that I work with in California. And he started doing this little technique. He's got $81,000 that he's got right now in investments that are earning him 7% through all that time with through that time where you were getting 4 or 5% on those CDs. He found a fund that he was getting 7% locked in on it. But if he didn't have the 50 grand away, he couldn't have done it. Guy told me the other day, 10 years later, he's got 81 grand getting 7% locked. So I'm saying you can't find it if you don't start freaking how to accumulate the money. So that's what I'd start with, Brett. Sounds silly. Worked for me and everybody else had to do it.
I don't think it sounds silly at all. I think it's absolutely genius. I've never heard it said that way. I love the transfer an amount, right? Play these games, and everyone is an investor, right? I've heard another way. There's no costs in life. There's just good and bad investments, right? There's no costs. Everything you're doing is that way. It's funny. You and I are both obsessed in the credit card game, and not in the credit card going to debt. You and I are paying them off every month. We're never carrying a balance. I'm obsessed with the optimization of everything in life, right? Yes. Ringing that last, like in my business, I'll look at someone, if I take on a new coaching client, I'm like, well, how are you optimizing your corporate spend? Walk me through your strategies. And they go, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, cool. I took a year off in COVID. My family traveled the world, literally the world. Every month I was out of the country, at least 2 weeks a month, sometimes more, in a lay flat plane, never paid for one plane ticket. Never. Then to your point, I actually use those now today for more money. Recently, I won't say the name of the credit card. They came out with a 4% cashback credit card. Okay. I'm like, I don't understand. Unlimited. So what did I do? I went and paid my entire tax bill on my credit card. Well, they only charge you 1.87 cents
1.87.
Because you and I know the number. And I'm like, wait a minute. I can make over 200 basis points profit paying. First of all, I could overpay my taxes. No one stops me from doing it. Then I could get, you could actually monetize. We could take this transaction to a whole nother level. But people aren't even asking the question, right? Like you just said, I make 3 to 4% back, and then I route that into things that make more money. It's just, people have got to get obsessed with that. They've got to get obsessed with wringing the last little bit in every area. I just told you a minute ago, I closed on this resort, and I'm having a blast, right? I'm just because I get to be an entrepreneur in all things. And so every day I get a report of all the bills that come in for this resort. Now, these are the prior owner's expenses. And this is a super dumb example. Day one, they're paying $800 a month for the waste management contract. Cool. I got in there. My team worked on it. I just wanted to do the last little bit of negotiation. I got it down to $200. $600 a month, though. It's not 1 month, right? It's forever. Now imagine the person listens at home. Are you doing that on everything? Wealth is made in the pennies. At home, is your internet bill, is there a different provider that could lower your bill? Is your cell phone bill? Could you get a better service for less money? Your car insurance, are you shopping? Your tax returns, are you sending it to 3 different CPAs to lower your costs? Are you trying to optimize your life? Or are you sitting there wondering why you don't have any money? And I just love that you hit on it. The $86, you said, oh, it's nothing. That's actually everything. It's absolutely, it started with, what's going to happen this month? Like you said, nothing. What's going to happen in 10 years? Everything.
It's so fascinating. So how my brain works is, first off, if you don't know how to set up an auto transfer in your bank, it's so easy to do. And I'm telling you, if you just don't do this today, you don't want to be wealthy. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to go sell more. Actually, great. You've got to play games with yourself. So what I'm immediately, Brad, I'm thinking in my company, my, and I pay a little extra my CPA to figure out all these transactions moving around. But as soon as I'd save money, like we got rid of we lowered our insurance premium, right? I found a new company, incredible. I'll tell you this later. Absolutely incredible. I was overpaying by $800 a month. So you know what I did? $800 a month to the family, 8 times 12. I immediately take the, what is that, $7,200 or whatever, 8 times 10, $9,200, right? Or whatever it is, 9,600. You don't have to be good with math. So that's almost $10,000 a year. I immediately transfer that to my bank, to just a holding pattern into a 4.6% CD. Does that make sense? Right off the bat, like immediately holding pattern. And so what I do is anytime I save money, I immediately put it in that holding pattern, and I'm looking, and my brain is like, find, look. And then if something pops, like the guy next door is like, I want to get rid of the building. And I'm like, I could use that. I could rent it. I see what it is. I'm ready. So I'm just telling all of you, as soon as you get rid of something or optimize it, auto transfer, no time to think and put it somewhere. They're a pain in the ass to turn off. So leave them there. That's like, I'm telling you, start today, right now, every one of you, $3 automatically, $7, $12, $18, $80, whatever you can afford to not care about, transfer one, and then tomorrow, $2 more. You have so many of these, you'll be lazy to turn them off. That's all I got to say about that.
That is, it's incredible. I want to switch gears entirely.
Yep.
I actually, as you know, we're friends, and I had you come into my audience and talk to my group, and you've presented several times.
A couple of times, yeah.
And you did something about kids, and it was about, I don't want to ruin the story, so I just want to lead you there. And it's about, you come in and they did their best, and what most parents say is, you know where I'm going to go. Talk to us about the psychology first, and then how people, because I literally to this day, I did this morning with my kids. I literally, using your words.
It works. It'll change in time, no different than investing in your kids. So here's the deal. Parents, you got to back off a little what you think you should do, and you got to realize what actually motivates and makes your kids do what they need to do. This is not the do-all end-all. So I'm going to get to what you asked for in a second, but I'm gonna give you a story, two parts here. Inside of all human beings, there's two versions of us. There's a little inner child that wants to feel good and told good job. And then there's like this inner killer, absolute future self, Goggins living inside of us that knows they can accomplish anything. So most people play to the little kid because unfortunately we were kids. We want people to feel good and we want to do nice things. And a lot of us, we don't realize that we demean or diminish other people because we want to take all the credit. This is why Brett became an entrepreneur, because his manager wanted his credit and he didn't give him any credit one way or another. So remember that. So I'm on a show. This is a really good story. I'm on a show with This guy, Joe, he's got like 900 loan officers. I got to introduce you to this guy, Brett. That side note, this guy, Joe, but you'll want to know him if you don't know him already, Irvine. And I'm on his show and I'm talking about motivating kids. And he goes, all right, Michael, stop the show. How do I motivate my kid? And I was going to answer the question. I was giving the answer and he'd go, well, motivate him to do what? It's like, I want my kid to want to be better at basketball. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Tomorrow morning, after lunch or whatever, breakfast, whatever he's calm, he's not hangry. I want you to look at him and go like this. Hey, listen, Joe Jr., if you ever want to get good at basketball, I might have a couple ideas. You come to me. I might have a couple ideas. Just come to me and then walk away. If they don't come back, nothing, no harm, no foul. But Joe calls me the next day. He goes, Michael, I don't know whether to kill you or I love you. I go, what happened? He goes, well, I did what you told me to do. I walked with my kid. I said, if you want to get better, come to me. He came to me the next morning on his own accord. I go, and now I got to get him a coach. Now, why I'm bringing this up is most of us, when we communicate with people, we want them to feel good. We don't make them empowered. So what I did is we will tell a kid, I can help you get better. And I'm going to get you what you want, Brett, here in a second. But this is
perfect. Keep going.
Folks, let me tell you, if you don't get your family straight, I'm going to be very clear. You will never be great at business. You will have ups and downs because when you come home, you will be miserable. So if you do not learn how to work with your kids and your wife or your husband, you've got to get that figured out. That is my main thing I teach people. That is where wealth comes from. Side note. So when you go to the kid and go, I can make you better, I have a way, you actually say, I'm great, you're not, and we destroy their confidence. So what we do is this, and this is one thing we teach inside of our company, is 3 things we do where we language things differently into my family. If you've got a child that does something well and they score a goal, they get a touchdown, they get an A in a test, our natural tendency is great job, I'm proud of you, which is the second most powerful chemical in the body is called serotonin. It is the chemical you get what Brett was looking for when I made sale. I work insight. Look at me. He wanted to feel good about what he accomplished. And if I say to you, child, I am proud of you, they look at you with the big old eyes and they go, really? You're proud of me? So you're saying if I do that thing again, you'll like me? Parents, you don't need your kids to like you. You need your kids to like themselves. I want you to listen. So what I do is with the kids, instead of saying, Johnny, I'm proud of you, I say, Johnny, you know that home run you got? You should be proud of yourself. Pause, let it sink in. You'll watch what I call the quarterback grin on that kid's face. And if you look at a quarterback, and ladies, if you're listening, you know the quarterback, he's got that look. He's confident. And gentlemen, you know, because every quarterback's got that Tom Brady look, like I'm in control. Give your kid the power. So if somebody on your team closes a deal, do not say great job. So like, I closed the deal. I got the Johnson house closed, whatever. You say, of course you did, because that's why you're on this team. That's who you are. So when you tell them they should be proud of themselves, it gives them the power. Most of us are scared to let other people feel powerful because we then don't feel powerful. He or she who gives more power to others to feel great will be the most powerful one of all. I would love 90 people around me feeling powerful so they get a lot of things done. So the answer to your question is this. You should be proud of yourself. And Brett, you're using that all the time right now. What's the result you're getting?
Oh, it's mine, but it's the thing I talk about my kids is, right, there's 2 scorecards. I use Warren Buffett's thing. There's 2 scorecards in life, right? There's an internal one and there's an external scorecard. So when I say I'm proud of you, I'm teaching you, and this is from you, by the way, I'm just taking it, I'm telling you what I've learned from what you taught me, was that you're now making them go get the outside world to tell them they're great. So they're playing for everyone else. Their whole lives. They're looking for that feeling like I need someone to tell me that I'm doing good. Like, and so I'll go do these things, but that may not make them happy inside. Instead, if they realize like I did this thing and I created it and I'm the creator of my own destiny, I don't need the outside world to validate. I know what I need and I have everything what I have inside already before I started. And like, that's the impact on, and it's what, the other thing is like when my kids walk out the door every day, I go, are you going to have a good day today? In the beginning, they go, well, you know, and they go, now my kids, what they say every time, well, yes. And I go, well, how do you know? They go, because I'm going to make it that way. I go, boom, make it happen, right? That's every day we say that. You going to have a good day today? In the beginning, they go, but now they go, of course I am. Why? Because I make it that way. I'm like, right? It's just a different.
It isn't all the time. It doesn't mean your kids are going to be perfect. It doesn't mean they're not going to have ups and downs. It doesn't mean they're not going to get bullied or picked on. We've got to give our kids a half a chance. And if you ever want them to move out and not be weak or losers in the world today, and I don't mean loser like not cool, I mean like not win, right? You've got to give them power. And we give them power by giving them the chemicals in their mind back. So if you say, great job, Johnny, you're amazing, you're great, you're hurting your child. You want to say to them, that thing you did, no different than a real estate agent. Folks, listen, you know how big a decision is to get a house, buying, selling side. I sit down with agents and I tell them this all the time. The first words out of your mouth should be, hey, listen, before we even look at the MLS, I just want to commend you for even having the courage to even look for the house that you want, because most people stay in a house they don't want most of their lives. And here you are actually doing it. Be proud of yourself, my friend. This is very exciting. We're going to go through a process for the next 90 days finding it. We will. But I want to tell you, be proud. You have just given them what their mom and dad haven't their whole life. And they're going to love you. And then you don't even need, I know you got to legally sign that paperwork now. But the point is, that freaking paperwork. But you know what I'm saying? But the point is, that is huge that all of us can do. Because remember, your clients or your spouse is still a 5-year-old boy with big kid clothes on.
Or Michael, you are such a master with words. And before we wrap up here, I want you to do one more thing if you would. And I'll go in the business arena, but I think it applies to many things. I've used it on my wife. Has your wife ever told you this? She goes, are you coaching me right now? And I'm like, of course not. Of course I'm not. I'm absolutely coaching her, right? I'm absolutely taking her down a path that I want to go down. But you've got this idea that if 3 things are true, the next thing you say is true. But I think it applies to, of course it applies to sales. It's the greatest, I think one of the greatest sales technique ever. But I think it applies personally, in relationships. It's disarming. Kind of give that idea. Let's go through that. And we can even, if you want me to role play on the backside of it, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, we'll role play. And here's the funny thing, folks. It works if you use it. Everyone's not going to be too good at things when they first do it. You're going to have to do 3 or 4 of these to get good at it. On the other end of being bad at it, you're going to get good. So our minds, let's just give you a quick backstory. The way the brain works, the brain is the organism and inside's the mind. And the mind is always looking for advantages in life, ways to like make your life better and avoid things that are uncomfortable. So it's always like on defense. The reason we look at a car wreck or we watch the news or anything you shouldn't do is because we're memorizing negative things so they don't occur in our life. So we are on defense. You have to realize the nicest people in the world are on defense not to get hurt. Okay. So we've got to take down our defenses so we can have a normal conversation with ourselves or with other people. So all the mind needs, some of you are going to ask why. I have no idea why. I wasn't there when we were designed. I didn't have a conversation with God, like how we were built. But that's a Jim Rohn quote. But the point is what I realized is this. When 3 things are true, the 4th is automatically true. So Brett, if I told you tomorrow, let's actually speak this into existence. The Fed is going to cut the rate and we're going to be at 5.1. That'd be wonderful, right? But let's just say we did. And tomorrow you woke up and it's 5.1. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's weird. But I said, listen, man, go invest in XYZ Corp because it's going to double. And you looked at XYZ Corp, it doubled. You'd be like, huh. And then I said, Brett, when you leave your house today, when you turn right, careful, there's going to be a car accident. If there was a car accident, you would be like, whoa, there was a car accident. And then what would happen is if I said to you, hey, listen, man, this is the best coffee shop in the world, you'd be like, oh, okay, probably should listen to him because 3 things were true. Now, I don't know why it is, but it is that way. So there is it's funny because my oldest daughter brought this to my attention, what you said, how to use this on yourself the other day, and it's fascinating. So what I would say is, instead of using the old Tom Hopkins sales approach, like, so Brett, so you're in real estate, right? And you'd say,
yeah.
Great. And you're looking, you like nice things, right?
Oh, I love nice things. Yeah.
And your name is Brett, right? And then,
yeah.
And then you're going to be like, okay, like I've watched enough stuff. Stay away from me. You're kind of annoying. I saw Boiler Room too. What I would point out is if I wanted to make a slight suggestion, here's how this works. A slight suggestion. Because remember, folks, we can only suggest. We cannot convince. We can only suggest. And if I could say get good at one thing and suggest. So if I suggested the meeting's going to go well and we're going to find what you're looking for, is that a good suggestion?
Of course.
But if I walked in your office today and say, Brett, this meeting's going to go well, we'll find what you're looking for, you're going to be like, yeah, right. but this is how it works great. Watch my three truths. I would say, Brett, we've been on this show now for a little bit of time. You've talked, I've talked, and we've come up with some things that are useful for people.
Yeah,
Now,
completely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Now, if I just said to you, we've come up with some useful things for people, you would think about it and analyze it. But as soon as I said three things, so, you know, Brett, we've been on this podcast and we've known each other a while, and you've been in real estate for a bit and I do what I do. And that's why this is going to work well. And your mind is going to be like, hey, it's going to work well. I don't know where that's going to go. But what happens is if I just said this is going to work well, it's got a defense mechanism. So how it works is where do realtors and investors meet for business outside their office? Where do they meet?
Yeah, Starbucks is a common place, right? I mean, that's going to be the go-to.
So most people pull up and go, hey, great. You got here. Let me grab a coffee and we'll sit and talk. That's how it usually starts, right?
Exactly right.
But what if we did it a little different? If we cared so much about the relationship in that person, you've got to care about relationships. And imagine you walked in and said, let's say I just showed up a minute behind you and I said, all right, Brett, you already got your coffee. You got here before me. I'm going to go get mine and we'll find a way to make this work. And you're going to go like this. All I did is pointed out, you're here. You have a coffee. I'm going to go get mine. And then you just subtly said, and we'll find a way to make this work. You didn't say, and you're going to buy everything from me and sign a piece of paper, be your lifetime agent. That wouldn't do anything. And then when you come back, say, got it. Let's talk a little bit and I'll cover some ideas. And I've got my laptop here and I bet we could find a few things that you would make this easier. And they go,
yeah.
And if you just pad this with yourself, like, I'm up early, I've already been to the gym, I'm about to make calls, and that's why I'm going to find somebody good to talk to today. And it changes your awareness. As silly as it is, it's mind control 101 over your mind. You have to learn how to use your mind. And very few people care about using their mind. They want to study the internet. They want to learn about pixels. They want to find out what the Kardashians are doing. They want to find out about what Joe Blow Agent is doing. They want to get motivated buyers. And very few people want to understand how the mind works. It's 1 + 1 + 1 = 4. When three things are true, the fourth is automatically true. Did that articulate it enough?
That was you have so many. I mean, it's endless, right? And I could spend another 5 hours doing this because I don't know why it works. To your point, I don't know. Like when the first time you said it, I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just because then I started doing it with people, right? And it works. I don't know why it works, but it does. If three things, I think it's just our mind is like in this programming that it doesn't want to create friction. So it's like, well, I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna say, and I said yes 3 times. I just got to say yes again. It's just amazing. I love so much about what you do.
Let me show you how simple this is. We've all seen it. I stay away from the news, but just imagine you watch how simple this is. Hello, Arizona. Welcome to Fox or CNN News or whatever it is, right? My name is Joe Anchor. Good morning. Today, we're going to show you this. And now we're going to watch for 30 minutes because they just did it to you. There's not a show you turn on. They'd say, hello, Detroit. Welcome to Fox News, right? Yeah. My name is Joe the Anchor. And we've got stories you have to see. We have stories you have to see. And by the time we're back from the commercial, you'll know how to do it. If they would have just said, we got stories for you, you'd say whatever, but they do it every single day since 1950s.
It's just so good. I want to, as we wrap up here, Michael, I want to ask every guest the same 3 questions. Other than your book, which again, everyone should go get, what are the 3 books that impacted your life the most?
Well, I think I have it here somewhere. As a Man
visuals.
As a Man Thinketh, which I read all the time. It is one of my favorite books. I've beaten this thing up to death. This is a bridge. This is powerful. You will absolutely love it. I will tell you The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman and The Journey of Socrates. Both of those books, you should read. It really is about how to actually lie. Indirectly, I tell everyone it's how to actually let somebody mentor you. I've read this, some of the only books I've read 2 or 3 times all the way through. Another book which you will not be able to find very easily is called Transformations. The original one, I think I paid $140 for the first time, by Richard Bandler. It will make no sense to anybody here. I don't even recommend you read it. It worked for me. It's an NLP book, but I would say As a Man Thinketh, huge. And The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, was enormous. And Transformations was really big for me at a spot in my life where it activated something with me with the neural pathways in the mind. And I've got thousands of books in my life. How to Win Friends and Influence People opened up the door for me for sales and influence. So I'd say there would be my third one.
I love those. Okay. Best purchase under $200 in the last 12 months that most improved your life. Best purchase
under $200 that improved my life. It's funny because my wife and I do this every single year. Under $200. Go to the third question. I'll come back to that one.
Okay. I'll give you, I will give you mine, and then maybe it's trigger safe. I went on this journey to test every pillow on the market. And I don't know why, I just wanted to find the best pillow. And the 8 Sleep, E-I, like the spelled 8, like E-I-G-H-T, Sleep, their pillow, carbon fiber pillow, is a game changer. It's a $150 pillow. Now, I think that's expensive, but I'm going to tell you, it's an absolute game changer. It's the greatest pillow ever. That's mine. So while you're thinking of that, we'll come back to yours, unless you got it. But the last thing is,
because you stopped me with the under $200. And I'm working out in my head. I'm gonna come up with it. I'm gonna get it.
All right, you're gonna go. So I want you to talk to 21-year-old Michael, knowing everything you know today, and you're gonna give him 60 seconds of advice. What do you say to your 21-year-old self?
I would say you have it inside of you. Those feelings and thoughts that you have, they're real. There's multiple. They're both real, and I'd say it really depends which ones that you want to take care of. I'm also going to tell you that you are different. You are special, and fitting in and trying to be like anybody else is guaranteed failure in whatever it is you do. And your goal is to really show the world what you are capable of, not to be liked. And I'm going to tell you, the sooner you learn how to be likable and versus being liked, you're going to be a happy person. So you need to learn how to care about yourself and be a likable person. But if you need to be liked, you will always be miserable. So build a life that is very likable, care about people, but don't really care if you're liked, because that'll be their choice, whether they like you or not. It'll save you a lot of headaches, and get to the point where you don't care. And if you care so much that you don't care at all, you're going to be a really loving, great person. And I'm going to tell you, these people you have in your life today, you've attracted by who you were. And the people you are going to spend your time in life with, you haven't even met yet, because you're going to get a chance to change that. So that's what I would say, because I've really instilled in my kids at a very young age that the sooner you work on being likable and not being liked and care about being liked, you'll be a happier person.
Wow. That is, I love that you said it. The sure way to fail is just to try to fit in and be everyone else. I think that's
horrible. It's really, really sad. And we have a whole world today where everybody's trying to be like everybody else versus being themselves. And I'll tell you a good purchase that I found. I'm looking at my hydrogen water bottle. I didn't want to push medical or health things on people, but I love my hydrogen bottle. This reminds me not only to drink water, but I do this every day. It's like under $100. I think it's $150. It's called Evolve. And I do that, every day. And for whatever reason, I don't know why it works, but I love it. Makes me feel good, but also triggers me to be healthy. It takes 2 seconds. I turn it on, thing turns blue, and I drink it. So you do your own medical advice if you think it works, but I love mine.
Oh, yeah.
I have a red light. One more red light laser. I have a little red light laser that I use, because we all work out. We're healthy. It's a little thing that I've got, and it literally uses red light thing on me, and it's really good for just keeping me going. I love it.
That's an awesome answer. All right, Michael, we're wrapping up here. If people want more of you, they want to learn about what you do after they buy your book and read it, where should they go to learn more?
Yeah, definitely get my book. You can find that anywhere. Barnes & Noble's, whatever it is. Just go get it. AverageSucks.com. You can go get it. Find the book on there. Super great. You can find me online, like Instagram. We got a ton of videos and stuff that we go up. And then I wanted to just throw this out. Like, if you're like, I like this guy and you're like, either way, want me to share with your people, or you got train, or you're like into growing, I'm going to make this easy. I'm just going to just tell you two things. One is, send me a text. This is not an autoresponder. This is like a real number, 480-800-8051. I set this up earlier. Text the word influence to that. And then let's just chat, and just only do that if you're like, I want either to show you with my team or show you with myself. Text the word influence, or find a way to DM me or reach out online. You guys are smart people. So 480-800-8051. That is if you're like, I want to learn from you, Michael, or I want to share you, right? But if not, go stalk me. There's a reason I have 5.5 million views in the last 3 weeks organically on Instagram, because with only 30,000 people so far, I'm adding about 5,000 people a week to our channel, because we are talking, when this comes out, I'll have 50 to 70,000. We're doing it organically. We are having real conversations about real things in life, which is communication, relationships, and getting what they want. So go find me online. We're having a real talk on there.
We'll include everything in the show notes, all of your social media channels, your website, place for the book. Michael, you're a true treasure. Thanks for being here and sharing, and all you do for so many. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Brett. I really appreciate it. It's an honor, and you are an incredible host. I mean, I could do this for days. You're so good at what you do, and just a privilege to be part of it. And folks, keep on listening to this, and definitely find the other shows as well.
All right. Take care.